Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Omasho. Today is all about what is happening between Israel and the Palestinians. Yes, it started on Saturday. I don't want to go too deep into that because my analysts would really want to throw more light on this after their introduction. Before that, let's take a look at some stories making rounds globally. Liberians, they are going out to elect their leader. And of course, the incumbent president, George Oponwe, he's vying for a second term. But we have a very strong contender in the person of Joseph. People complaining about the way George Weah has been handling Liberia, and some are also saying that yes, as a president, he has done his best. It's like two divisions speaking for, and of course speaking against the presidency of George Weah. And this time around, George facing a very strong rival, Joseph Boakai, and that is what is going to play out itself today, because both are so strong, both are so popular that people like saying it's going to be difficult for the citizens of Liberia to choose their leader, because they have points, they have advantages, and of course disadvantages. But at the end, it is going to be one person coming out tops in terms of governance. Is it going to be the ex-footballer and of course the incumbent president, or is going to be the rival from the opposition, Joseph Boakai? That will be determined today. At the end of the day, you get to see followers, you get to see parties, you get to see faithfuls following their parties, their leaders, and they're trying to market them. Let's just find out if all this will make someone retain a seat, or better still, a female may just come out tops. You never can tell. You just never can tell. But right now, the election is ongoing in Liberia. Let's move straight down to Myanmar, where there have been series of attacks. In Myanmar right now, 29 killing, artillery strike on camp for displaced people. Don't forget about the disturbance in that region occasion. Some are accusing the Myanmar, how will I put it now, administration being led by the military of genocide. Some are saying no, it has a religious undertone. Some are saying this is purely a terrorist attack. No matter how they color it, no matter how they paint it, it is said that 29 persons have lost their life because of this attack. And people like saying, what is the way forward? Don't forget that Aung San Suu Kyi has been under house arrest. Though it's been reviewed, the number of sentences or the years of sentence has been reduced, but it's like Myanmar haven't really known peace. You get to hear about the Rohingya Muslims being persecuted. You get to hear about other tribes also being sent or chased away out of Myanmar. When would there be an end to all this kind of mayhem going on right now in that country? Of course, other countries of the world, they have their own fair share also of this disturbance. But I believe in one thing, that somewhere along the line, it's all about negotiation, it's all about peaceful disposition, and I strongly know that solution definitely will be in the offense, because killing, losing of life is not the way for humanity to coexist. It's all about coexistence, accepting one religion, accepting one belief, so we can easily live together as one, because after all, the world, they say, is a global village. Coming back to the studio, it's now time for us to take a look at what happened in Israel. It started on a Saturday morning, the Sabbath day of the Israelis, where they were resting, where they were relaxing. After all, having toured around for other days of the week, is well known and well established that the Sabbath day, the Israelis don't joke with it. All of a sudden, there was an attack from the Hamas group. Some term them terrorists, others call them liberators. Depends on the side of the divide you belong to. This problem has been ongoing, but nobody expected that from Hamas. Over 700 Israelis were killed, including soldiers. And that didn't go down too well with Benjamin Netanyahu. They were able to find out how to really overwhelm the Iron Dome, because thousands of rockets were launched, according to report. It overwhelmed the Iron Dome. As they were doing that, highly trained militia They penetrated the walls of Israel and went to some villages. That was how the atrocity was committed. But right now, the relation of Israel is what we want to take a look at. No holds back. The Palestinians, they are crying bitterly. We are not Hamas. What have we done wrong? And Benjamin said, this is just the beginning. With me here in the studio, I have a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator, join me to welcome Barrister Abayomi Thomas. Welcome to International Forum. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon to viewers.
All right. As very close to him, he is a clergyman, public affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Reverend Humphrey Arega. Reverend, welcome to International Forum.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone.
Saturday was declared Black Day for Israel. It was accompanied by wailing, crying, gnashing of teeth, anguish and anger. And of course, there was a repercussion. Let me start off with you, Reverend. What do you feel about the onslaught of the Hamas group on Israelites on Saturday morning?
Thank you. To me, it's a horrifying experience. Life in itself is sacrosanct, and no man has right to take another life that he didn't produce. Again, especially the way and manner it was done. A lot of individuals who just went to do musical concert, and all of a sudden it became a death field. As a last count, what I saw on television, it's about over 1,100 deaths. And a number of persons were kidnapped. Your introduction earlier, you talked about Palestinian Israelites. This is not a Palestinian-Israelite war. This is Hamas Israelite war. Hamas is an organization that has seized a part of the Palestinian land. So there are two governments in the environment. And they have vowed over the years to eliminate Israel completely. That's their own vow. But unfortunately, it is obvious that those who perpetrate evil are maybe the last people to be affected by the evil. Civilians and innocent citizens will take the brunt, as we are seeing now. Israel has declared a war, and you know, one of the things that have also kept Israel alive, they are a small nation compared to the people around, and they have a lot of, so all they have is to fight with all that they have and make sure that whoever wants to overrun them is overrun. They've succeeded in most of the times, and yes, but here, one of the things I first of all went back to say, when people think that, as a man, you think that you have all the answers, nobody ever visualized that anybody could penetrate Israeli defense environment.
All right. Nobody ever visualized that.
To have a tight defense. They've thought to have a tight Mossad individuals who are very intelligent in war and everything. But here we are. It collapsed. So we begin to say to ourselves, let us be very careful of the kind of statements we make as individuals. And also note that lives, you cannot hold some people. If people think that they have been held hostage in their environment, and my grandmother said, when you drive a goat to a wall, and without any place to run, it turns back and faces you.
Face you. All right.
I think that's where we are today.
All right. I'll come back to you, Reverend. Barrister, you heard him. It was on a Saturday morning, and citizens of the world, they held the Mossad group, talking about the Israeli intelligence, very, very high pedestal, but with this calculated, well-executed plan by the Hamas group on that Saturday morning, what can you make out of this?
Well, let me start by saying all lives are important. Whether you are an Israeli, a Palestinian, American, Iranian, Ukrainian, all lives are important. I am not celebrating the killings, nor the destructions going on. But to be able to understand, it's a pity. Time is a very big issue. To be able to understand what happened on Saturday, the 50th anniversary of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, where the Arabs surprised Israel. Hamas decided to surprise Israel. So you have to go back to history, as far back as 1916, when Britain created the problem we are now seeing. When a group of Zionists started campaigning in Palestine, asking for land, particularly when the Jews were being persecuted in Europe. And Britain, always looking for the easiest way out, decided to supply weapons to these Zionists to fight the owners of the land. I repeat, the owners of the land, the Palestinians. And this continued to 1948, when the state of Israel was carved out by the British, who are always looking for the easiest way out, like they did here with indirect rule system, when they cannot rule directly. Now, the owners of the land have been pushed so far that the state of Israel, created in 1948, has become the owner of the land of the Palestinians, 90%. The Gaza, where the, Hamas is the government, I don't call them terrorists, because election was conducted in Gaza. Hamas defeated the Al-Fatah group that is ruling, and the Palestinian group that is ruling in West Bank. They won. Israel refused to recognize Hamas. America refused to recognize Hamas, calling them terrorists. The whole of Gaza is like you are describing Vindicity. And the population there is about 2.2 million human beings. On the east of Gaza is the Mediterranean Sea. Now, Israel, after attending the Oslo meeting, supervised by former President Bill Clinton, where Yasser Arafat, who was the leader of the Palestinians, and the Israeli Prime Minister attended, a decision was taken that since you cannot drive away the Israelis, neither are you going to ask the owners of the land, the Palestinians, to forfeit their land. Let there be a two-state solution. Two states should be carved out, so that Israel and Palestinians can live side by side. But every subsequent prime minister that comes into Israel has always sought to play the politics of land grabbing.
Land grabbing. Okay.
Of land grabbing. Okay. To the extent that now, because if you have to understand this issue, you have to remove religion. When you remove religion, you will not go to the facts. Settlement was banned. Establishment of new settlements in Palestine land was banned at Oslo meeting, signed by President Bill Clinton of America, the Yasser Arafat of Palestine, of PLO, and the Israeli Prime Minister. But what we have found is that consistently more settlements are being built, while the Palestinians are being pushed. Like Reverend said, that his mother said, when a goat is pushed to the wall, the goat reacts.
I'll come back to you. You heard him. He went down memory lane to bring out the issue It all started in 1916. That's according to his record. They came out looking for land, was given to them, and right now it's like a battle. It's like saying that you helping us out when we're in need, you now in turn turn into oppressors. Do you view the sentiment of the Hamas group of Palestine and the way he's doing it right now?
Well, you see, history
Yes.
is written in different dimensions. He made a statement which I'm not going to abide by, talking about removing religion. If we look at the biblical history of the land we're talking about, it wasn't a land built in 1915. It goes beyond generations and centuries. If we look at Abrahamic and other people, David and all of them, that same land was the land that Israelites occupied. Yet, they offended God and God sent them into exile, but promised a return. In the process of time, a return was made. There was no Palestine, it was Philistine in those early days. Okay. But let's look at it. Sometimes, as nations grow, as history grows, people come up and things are done. I believe that in the history of what we're talking about, no one individual, not even a combination of men, the United Nations and all, can justifiably do justice in anything because each of them have their own thoughts and ideas of what they want to do. Personally, I've been to Israel many times. And we look at the historical antecedents. We look at the facts on ground. You look at history that have been dug out. They are still digging lands in the place and looking at history. But these are some of the things. I also believe that if you left a place and you come back and there's a dispute, you have to settle it. No one entity can claim for the fact that he has that land. Nobody owns land, only God owns land. Because we all met it. And God gives it to whosoever he will. Yeah. But when we have a situation where nations, Arab nations, not just one, like we talk about in 1914, 15, the 50-year-old war we're talking about now, nations came out to say, let us push them out. It takes something beyond human for Israel to have won that war, or where they are. But I also believe that as humans, if we come to an agreement, I wouldn't say you should take the Palestinians out of the place. You divide it. Two-state nation is, I would have been very comfortable with that. Let everybody stay where they are. But when you have people like Hamas, you have people like Hezbollah that have vowed that they cannot survive, of course they also have to do their defense.
But still, look at what he's talking about, building settlements. When they say they shouldn't build settlements, they're not provocative.
Yeah, when they say settlements, you see, when human beings have their own interests in building whatever they are doing. If you look at why is there a difference between the Palestinian Authority and the Hamas? Two people of the same stock, I want to use the word stock because they are the same, but don't have agreement. When you are divided, it's difficult for you to form a lasting solution. Okay? These are issues that not external, until the Palestinians and the Hamas and Hezbollah and the Israelites agree to live together in a manner that both of them can, as much as possible. You can't have it all.
Okay.
That's some of the things.
You can't have it all.
You can't have it all.
All right.
But you must be ready to say, okay, let us live together in a manner that both of us can have some measure of peace.
Peace and respite. I'll come back to it. Well, you heard it and I said, look, nobody truly owns the land. But we want to go by biblical antecedents, go by the history. We have David, we have an Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Philippines, and the rest. But let's come to the future past, so to speak, when that agreement was made.
Good.
Yes.
You see, this theory of nobody owns the land is wrong. When I was in secondary school, I remember Sonny Okosun. He sang that famous song, My Papa's Land. Who owns the land? People own the land. It is power that that belongs to God. It is power that belongs to God. God gives power to whoever he deems fit. But as for land, one of the 5 ways of proving ownership of land in law is deforestation. So the issue of owners of the land is there. But what was decided in Oslo meeting in Norway was that, one, after the 1973 Yom Kippur War and the counter-October War by Israelis, where they almost captured almost everywhere in Arab land, the agreement was that no more building of new settlements. New settlements are hereby freezed. United Nations, just that America has become the cowboy of the whole world. When it pleases America, they do what the United Nations want. And when it does not please them, they send aircraft carrier to Mediterranean Sea now, because it pleases them to do what they like. America was the one that called for the Oslo Conference. America was the one that suggested the 2-state solution. The same America kept on building Israel militarily and backing them politically at the United Nations. And when the Palestinians keep on complaining, you are killing us, you are driving us to the ocean, you are driving us to the sea, you are taking our land, America will back them politically, and at the same time be talking of 2-state solution. Where will you get 2-state solution when the whole land has been taken by the Israelis? And if you are talking of Hamas, if you are talking of Al-Qaeda, if you are talking of Hezbollah and all, these are children born out of suffering, common suffering of the Palestinians.
All right.
And when you now have a resistance group saying that this same America that says 2-state solution, Europeans who say 2-state solution, they are watching while Israel is expanding, driving these Palestinians away from home. You look at this year alone, see how many Palestinians have been killed in West Bank by the Israelis. In Jenin camp, where human beings are living as if they are sardines, they go in with impunity. Netanyahu said, no Israeli can be made to answer in the world courts for any offense, any assassination, any killing that happens to the Palestinians.
All right.
So nobody is fighting for the Palestinians. Their land is being taken. You are attacking and killing them. So on Saturday, they devised, because suffering can make you devise any method.
Any method. Okay, hold on. Well, you talked about the suffering of Palestinians, talked about the agreement that Israeli always have this habit of violating.
Letting any human being
hold on, breaking the agreement
Yes.
they had. Don't build settlement, but from records they've been doing that. What also said, they're being pushed to the ocean. Nobody's speaking on their behalf and know that it's not enough to provoke that attack on Saturday, Reverend.
I'm not going to tell you that I appreciate all that Israeli does.
Yeah.
Yes. Because human being, like we said earlier, Palestinian lives is as important as Israeli lives. But you see, sometimes politicians gamble with the life of their citizens. And the citizens suffer for that. Israel, one of the things that I keep also saying to myself is, Israel is one of the smallest land in the world, that enclave. And they are surrounded by hostile enemies. Somebody also has to help them to defend themselves. I don't, you see, look, I've never appreciated the death of a life that you didn't create. No. The manner in which these people were slaughtered on Saturday does not justify the Hamas struggle for land. Neither will the Israeli bombardment justify their struggle for land. But both of them are saying, you are pushing me to the war. And Israeli say, you are pushing me to the war. We talk about Arab nations, Arab hostile nations. Hamas is not just one little entity. It's sponsored by a lot of Arab nations that gives them weapons and all. You see, I keep saying, when people manufacture weapons, what are they talking about? They instigate war because they need to sell those weapons. Why will people, whether America supplying weapons to Israel or the Arabs supplying weapons to Hamas, why is that the main thing that should be done? You see, peace, they also say if you are looking for peace, prepare for war. That the other will have heard. Yeah. And I've seen it over the years. But we're saying, you see, language, it is words that starts war. I've said two things. Hamas and Hezbollah have made it very emphatic in statements that they do not want the existence of Israel. And he also say, if you don't want their existence, you will not exist. You can see how slow the Palestinian Liberation Organization make statements and do things. They have more of the dignity of the humanity for themselves, which the Hamas don't have. And that's why there's that division today. The world as a whole, of course, will not speak in one language. Iran will not speak the language the Americans speak. That's the problem. So it is the indigens, the individuals who neither have gun nor have power that suffers for it. Okay. Israel have said today, we have declared a war.
Hold on, we'll be right back after this break. We are at war. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu said after that attack. We'll be right back to really analyze that statement or comment. Don't go away. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. Well, I have two gentlemen help me in the studio to analyze what really transpired in Israel, and of course, the retaliation, occasioned by that particular action. Talked about Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda. They all vowed that Israel would not exist, and Israel also vowed that since they made that vow, they also will not exist. So how would you want an Israeli to trust a Palestinian governed by the Hamas group, the term terrorists?
Look, something creates something. Like we say in Benin here. If the Palestinians were living peacefully as a state, having their airports, having their seaports, and they are free to move about in their own land, and the Israelis are also free to have their Ben Gurion airport, have their all airports, and they have their desert where they have, Israel has 200 nuclear warheads. America has not denied this. What makes Israel a special state in the whole world? Then allow the Palestinians to also exist as a state. Let them have their own president. Let them have their own land. Then Hamas, Hezbollah will not have a place to come from. They will not exist. Although people are afraid of talking about Nigeria here, but I won't go about Nigeria because people are afraid. Otherwise, there are certain groups that exist that would normally not exist if things are normal. So if things are as they were discussed at the Oslo conference meeting, that do not create any new settlement, the same America that hosted that, like I said earlier on, is funding Israeli army to a tune of $3 billion every year.
Would you blame them?
I'm coming.
After all, so some places vowed that they will not exist.
I'm coming. You see, at the beginning, the hostility was from the Israelis. Then in resistance, the Palestinians said, okay, you will not exist. You can't take my land and expect me to be clapping for you.
When all Arab nations joined together fighting against Israel, who provoked that?
When all Arab nations grouped together, it was for the purpose of liberating the Palestinians.
Liberating or eliminating Israel?
No. You can't eliminate Israel. You see, Israel is not a country that you can eliminate. Particularly when they are backed. Okay, look at what this small thing of Saturday. Unfortunately, lives are involved. American aircraft carrier is already on the way.
The warship.
It's an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
It carries a lot of ammunition and bombers. You just imagine if Russia will not be involved in Ukraine and Russia decide to bring aircraft carrier to Mediterranean Sea. Just imagine what will happen. A third world war would have been on the way.
All right.
So, if you allow me finish what I'm saying.
Yes.
The Israelis should abide, but they should be law-abiding. Because if you sign an agreement,
you stick to it.
You stick to it. The moment you begin to shift, the other party, you are breaching their rights. The Palestinians have been suffering, their rights have been breached to the extent that the Palestinians have been made as if they are slaves to depend on passes to cross into Israel or to go to meet their brethren in West Bank. They have to get pass. Israel got money from America and built wall of over $900 billion. Thinking that will protect them. When you push people too far, when you enslave people for too long, no matter the wall you build, no matter how many F-16 or F-30 jet fighters you get, your best security is peace.
All right. Best security is peace. Let's take a look at the retaliation, Reverend. Is it not too much? Air carrier, ship, Israel bombarding Gaza. As in, they've been able to triple, if not even 100 times the casualty that happened in Israel. Women and children, they are casualties. And the Prime Minister said, this is just the beginning. Is that not too much?
Well, looking at it humanly, you do say it's too much. But when there is war, you see, that's why it is better not to allow war to begin. Because when war starts, it's like when there's a wildfire. You may see where it starts, but you may never know where it's going to end. And that is the problem. Israeli have said, since you have made this place a haven of threat to us, now we want to make sure it doesn't exist again. That does not favor the Hamas, nor does it favor the Palestinians. The Palestinian citizens in Gaza have also been crying because they are living under siege. They don't, most of them don't support what Hamas is doing.
True.
But they do not have what it takes to say go. You see, when Vice has said they won an election, again, he also said we cannot talk about Nigeria.
About it. So please,
what I'm saying that there are places where you hold an election. You know that the election was not holding. You are holding the election with guns on your back. What will you do? So this Gaza environment has become militarized, and there are a lot of weapons that are in there. We can't even say it because we don't even know. How were they able to have? They said they came by land, by sea, by air for that Saturday program. How did that happen?
I will tell you.
So it's been something that has been ongoing. It's been amassing the thing. So since they are amassing arm and ammunition, Israeli will not fold their hands. they also knew the kind of capacity that Israeli has to do the damage they will do. So they should have also had some caution. You see, no matter how, you see, when you are angry, and by your anger you take an action, that action may be damaging for life. And that's why you have to be very cautious when you are making decisions. So, like I said, I do not subscribe to the killing of innocent persons, but in war, both the good, the bad, and the ugly suffer for it.
Suffer for it.
And that's why Israelis have told you, this is no longer, you did it, that this is our war. We have declared, they didn't say they declared war against the Palestinians. They declared war against Hamas. And that's why I keep saying, there are issues against them. Since Hamas has carved out, what has the president of Palestine said?
Good point. I'll come back to you on that one. Barrister, you heard him. Stockpiling of weapons.
If you can show me, it's a pity. If the map of Israel were to be here, you will see how the Israelis have so encamped the Palestinians in Gaza. The Israelis have their warship at the Mediterranean Sea, blocking the Palestinians from fishing or from traveling. In the north, the Israelis block them from traveling or from having any business with the entire world. In the south, it's the same thing. In the east, it's the same thing. Now, when you are so entrapped in an enclave, so many things will start developing. Sodomy will take place. Bestiality will take place. Things we don't pray for, they will all begin to happen. And when these Palestinians or Hamas were preparing to go into southern Israel, I sat down at 4 a.m. watching. It's not that any other country came to help them. I sat down, they prepared a machine. Look, there are some countries that entered civil war 67 to 1970. And they thought they could finish the war in 6 days. They call it police action. And at the end, those people you say, you will catch in 6 months. The war lasted 3 years. Necessity. They provided their own Ogbunigui and other things. Now these Palestinians, they prepared a machine that could inflate a balloon with somebody sitting down with a machine gun. That was how they crossed those high, impregnable or thought to be impregnable fences. That was how they went in. And those ones who were able to go in started taking over the checkpoints between Gaza and southern Israel and started blowing up the walls and allowed the fighters to move in. Because you are suffocating. You are breathing on the neck of the Palestinians. The Palestinians need to breathe.
They need to breathe.
They need to breathe.
Does that really justify the attack? Now take a look at the consequence.
Yes, I'm coming down there. I'm coming there. You see, when you, first and foremost, why did the Hamas do that? You were on their neck. They needed to breathe. And Israelis, who are known to be the 4th largest military power in the whole world, are now determined to pursue Hamas and saying, we have declared war against Hamas on a land that is as small as Benin City with 2.2 million people. How many are Hamas? And that was how Hamas were able to remove 100 hostages from Israel. They knew Israel would come after them. They knew Israel would do carpet bombing, which is banned by international law. They knew all that. And they took 100 Israelis into their country. Now, the defense minister of Israel is saying, as at this afternoon before I left home, 788 Palestinians have been killed. 40 of them are children. 900 Israelis have been slaughtered either by the rockets fired from Gaza into Southern Israel or by the fighters who gained entrance into Southern Israel. 900 before I left home. Now, the Minister of Defense is saying there will be no more pause. 24 hours bombing.
Bombardment, okay.
And artillery fire. Now, when you do that, it's like you are throwing a stone into the market. You don't know who it will affect.
All right.
So how many of these people, these Palestinians are Hamas?
Over now to you, Reverend. How many of these Palestinians
Are
are
Hamas.
Hamas?
Okay, that's the question that one would ask. Hamas sat down to understand they are not strangers to Israeli situation. They have seen what Israeli has done in some part of the world. If you kill one Israeli, they will run after you, and whoever is on the road is gone. But we're talking about the fact that they did something they knew
You provoke the Israelites.
Israelites to do whatever they want to do. You slaughtered more than 1,000 persons who were not soldiers. They were just gathering, having their food after a ceremony. Again, marking 50th anniversary of a war. It's a remembrance. So it was a deliberate act. And Israel
To provoke them.
Yes, they knew what it took them to gain that power over that 50 years. They knew what it took them. And so since you have reminded them of where they are coming from, they will tell you, okay, we will get back to that again. You now took over 100 hostages. Well, you just think they will just leave you. They will not. So they're also going to say, well, it's unfortunate, like I said, the casualties will be those who have no business of either on behalf of Hamas or on behalf of Israel. Most of those who died in Israel were elderly people, children, and teenagers who have no business with war. So it is give and take now we're talking about. Okay? But Israel says this is the last time. And that's a dangerous thing. It's the last time that Gaza will exist. So they are going to take more of the Palestinian land, and so they are going to be squeezed the more. which means the war we are living in the life of war never ends. That's
Wow.
hold on,
Barrister.
said to Hamas,
Yeah.
our weapons are at your disposal.
Our weapons are at our disposal.
Yeah, that's what they said. And you know what that means? So when he said nobody helped them, people helped them to build those things. The Arab nations, they have been supplying guns even today. It's something that no war starts in a day. It's a preparation. And when they came to the point to say, oh, we have enough resources now to do more harm, Israel also said, well, we are going to, they have cut up their reserves, and you know what that means. You see, there are two countries that I've seen in this, or three, that are coming in this world too, Israel and America. When you talk about patriotism, any Israeli you talk about is talking about their land. Okay, so we are just, I'm praying that more citizens will not die, but answering that prayer is a very difficult matter, because when you bomb something, the point is, well, Hamas has always used human shields, whether in schools, in hospitals, and anywhere, use them as a safeguard for themselves. What does that mean? The world has been talking about that, and that's what they do. So they think that when something is coming, you say because the children are there, you will not do anything. So let them. So they also tell they say, well, any structure, you are told them everybody leave to the open field. Which, even if you leave to the open field, when the bullets are coming, it doesn't dodge open field to go to destroy anything. They also can be killed. So wow. It's a sorry sign. It's something that shouldn't have happened. But it's happening. And we also have to appeal to consciences to say, look, you don't use a sledgehammer to kill a fly.
A fly.
The strongest countries in the world. Let Israel occupy every inch of Gaza. They did before. They took over all streets in Gaza in 2014. They ran away.
Did they really run all? An agreement was reached.
Wait. Was there no agreement? Was there no agreement in Oslo? Was there no agreement in Oslo? I am a student of international law.
Yeah.
When you have outlaws existing as countries, Israel and America, they are built on propaganda. And that is why Russia today, I never supported Russia in the initial stage. But today I begin to see Russia's point. When countries are built on propaganda, look, Israelis have been killing Palestinians all these days. No country in Europe, not even America, said anything. A journalist, a Al Jazeera journalist, female, who was carrying only camera, was shot by the Israelis and killed. And she had American citizenship. What did America do? They kept quiet. But you just said that when you touch an American, they'll go after you. You touch Israeli, they go after you. What makes an Israeli superior to a Nigerian? What makes, there is not like patriotism. They are all propaganda. I have been to America as many times as normal human beings should go. When propaganda becomes too much, it becomes like a truth. You force people to plant flag in front of your house, in every house. Then you are forcing a loyalty. It's like what happens in North Island. Every house, you must have this accordion, this Guinness something. In your signboard, it must be there, or they will pull it down. And you say there is patriotism. Okay. And what we are saying is simple. There can be no war between a nation and an organization. Hamas is an organization.
So is it not right for them to use women and children, hospitals as shield?
Is it right for the Israelis to be using Palestinians to practice shooting?
But hold on, they never used Palestinians to practice shooting.
When the journalist,
they never did that.
When the journalist like you was shot, she was shot directly in the head. And the United Nations came up to say, look, this was a direct and a premeditated shooting. Israelis came up and said, no citizen of Israel will go to the International Criminal Court for killing a Palestinian. Do responsible people talk like that?
All right.
And I can tell you, when you are under criminal investigation, you are a suspect. The suspect prime minister in Israel, who is facing so many criminal investigations, is diverting the Israeli attention.
How?
I'll tell you, good. Give me,
in what? Because
give me this
they were attacked.
Give me this opportunity.
All right.
Jenin is not in Gaza. Jenin camp is not in Gaza. It's in West Bank. When you send your soldiers into West Bank to be killing their people, even 2 weeks ago, Christians were being spat upon by the Jews. And you hold on to power because you cannot wait to be prosecuted for your offenses. You brought the Jews to form a majority government to shield you from prosecution because you are a suspect. All this you are doing, there has been protests going on daily in Israel against Netanyahu and his coalition of governments. Now, before I left home just now, he is even asking the opposition parties to form a broader group to support the massive 300,000 reservists who were massed this morning at the border with Gaza with 1,600 tanks to enter into Gaza. Now tell me, who in this kind of world does that? Not even Putin.
Over now to you, Reverend.
Not even Putin.
Over, I mean, is it not too much? For crying out loud. Is it not too much? Is Netanyahu not taken to the extreme? Yes, an offense was committed. Can't they go after Hamas? Why punish everybody?
This is called collective punishment in law.
Over now to you, Reverend.
No, see, Well, I try to understand you what you were talking about.
Yes.
How do you get Hamas? They are shielded by individuals. Like I said, they use human to
Shield.
make shield. So, which other way will you get them?
It's by killing everybody.
No, you know, it's like I said just now. I'm not attuned to killing people. But when war comes, it is not reasoning that prevails. It is brute force. We also say, see, in every situation, when he was talking, he talked about the issue in Israel. How did that form the basis of Hamas killing Israelis? There's no basis. Hamas has only given opportunity. It has only created an opportunity for Netanyahu and the hardliners to do what they want to do, what they have been planning to do. So they gave them opportunity. So these are some of the things. That's why I said just now. When you take decisions, you see, I have this axiom that I've worked with in life. You have the right to make a choice, but you don't have the right to get the decision of that choice about it. You take the consequences that come with the choice, and that's what has happened. Is happening in Hamas. They made a choice of going after. It's like you see a lion, or like somebody saying a python. No. You can puff adder. You can play with the head of a puff adder, but when you touch the tail, that's when you know what a puff adder is. That's what has happened. It's unfortunate, but this is where we are. They are massive because they have said to themselves, if we cannot get them, we will destroy whatever is available. Because they don't want Hamas in existence. But the question is, will the citizens in Gaza release Hamas to the enemy? They can't.
Russia went to Afghanistan.
No,
Russia ran away.
Hold on.
Let us, as much as possible, try to look at both sides.
I wish we have enough time because our time is up.
Russia went
Our time is up.
Yes, just a minute.
Yes.
Russia went into Afghanistan for over 15 years. They ran away from Afghanistan. America went to Afghanistan. They ran away from there. Russia thought that they were going to do a police action in Ukraine. At the end, they are bogged down. Israel, with all the military might, as a fought in your world, you see, the Hamas or Palestinians, whatever you call them, they are fighting a fight of survival. When people are fighting a fight of survival, you can never stop them. You can't kill it.
Thank you. Our time is up. It's like we're going to revisit the same topic. I don't know when, but
it's a continuous
we just keep on watching.
The war will continue.
To see how all this will pan out. But come on, is it not too much? Why would Hamas go provoke Israel?
Why will Israel be killing?
Retaliation of Netanyahu, is it not too much? We'll do it again next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.
I'll come back.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Oh yes, Ameosa Motosi don't roll out to new Shabe buses and Kazi. We contribute